Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus 7-Day Challenge, and today we have something special. Something that I've been looking forward to watching for a long time. It's actually a documentary, yes, but it's a documentary about the people who make movies, who literally have changed how movies are made. At least, you know what, no, it's pretty much everything. I was going to say just things that have special effects, large visual effects and everything else, but no, the work these guys have done in Industrial Light and Magic. This is Light and Magic, a documentary, a 6-part documentary. It's not just like an hour or two. It's 6 parts, and it's directed by Lawrence Kasdan, who was a big part of the Lucasfilm world. But he has put together this documentary series. Not just, the obvious thing is going to be like, oh, it's Star Wars. It's all about Star Wars. No, it's not just about Star Wars. But I'll tell you, at least the first 2 episodes, I only watched the first one, but I know, let's just say there's a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the first episode. It is very much about the birth of ILM before it ever got a name, before Star Wars was ever put on the big screen. This is a story of a bunch of, the first episode is called Outsiders, something called A Gang of Outsiders, and it is basically a slapped together haphazard group of engineers, designers, artists, the guys who weren't necessarily, let's just say there wasn't really, okay, yes, there were special effects people back in the day. Ray Harryhausen is a humongous influence on pretty much all these guys, with his stop motion animation, with Jason the Argonauts, and just all that stuff from way back when, the King Kong and everything else. He's a humongous inspiration. He's a big inspiration on George Lucas as well. But when it comes to these guys, when it comes to Dennis Muren and John Dykstra and Phil Tippett and all these guys, I mean, I'm not even giving a full list. Lauren Peterson, she's, let me see, Joe Johnson, okay? Joe Johnston, I should say. John Knoll, Richard Endlin. You basically get a bunch of guys who kind of got roped into working on a movie for just a few months because a friend of theirs recommended them. They said, hey, we need help. They're making a space movie, and we're going to try to create a few shots from this space movie. And they had no idea what they were really getting into. To a certain degree, I haven't been to it yet. I know where it is, but it's filmed up north of Los Angeles. Is it considered the Valley? I'm guessing it's the Valley, but it's out in that sort of Chatsworth area. Just tell me if I'm completely wrong, but I've seen it on a map. Let's say I've looked at Google Maps. I've looked at the spot, and I keep saying I want to go there, and I should have recorded at least the introduction to this at that spot because I can get there if I want to. I just haven't had the time. It's just a bunch of guys sitting in a warehouse in 100-degree heat, building spaceships. And that is a really reductive way of saying this, because while George Lucas is off in England filming the actors, Carrie, Harrison, and Mark, and everybody else, putting together this movie and watching R2-D2 fall on his face, and just having a hard enough time as it is, he's got a bunch of guys that he's barely spent any time with. He goes back and forth between England and in California, and it just, when he's pretty much almost done with England, he comes back to California, and he finds that while these guys have created some pretty impressive things, they haven't done a lot other than build the machinery from scratch, pretty much build the pieces from scratch that didn't exist until they were put in a room together to film the things that George wanted to see in this film, in his movie, The Star Wars, eventually Star Wars. And there was no A New Hope Episode 4 back then. No, it was just Star Wars. Let's just say they were a little bit under a deadline. But the way they were doing things was unlike anything they'd ever done before. They were using tools and tricks and things like that of their predecessors from decades before. Pieces of cameras, I think a camera or some sort of machinery that had not been used since the Ten Commandments. So they were building things on the fly. And yeah, it's not just, the booms and the dolly movements and how the camera moves around the spaceships rather than the spaceships moving through the shot. It's not just that. It is all about Ellison. Not Ellison. Dang it, I forgot his last name, and I don't want to scroll through all the names in here because there's so many people in this. He did the matte paintings, the backgrounds, the shafts of the Death Star when Obi-Wan Kenobi is flipping the switches to take out the tractor beam. The Rebel base, it's on the moon, and Yavin 4. So yeah, there's the guy who did all the artwork. His dad did the matte paintings for Mary Poppins and won Academy Awards for it. So even from the very beginning, Disney was a Disney alumni. Disney, the child of Disney, was involved in the building of Star Wars. It has some Disney DNA in it from the beginning. Then it talks about John Dykstra and just how he has the ability to do everything. I learned a lot in this. I'm in a room full of most other people most any room I'm in, I'm usually the biggest Star Wars nerd, the one who knows the most. I don't know everything. I knew more when I was 12, I think, than I do now. I've forgotten more than I know right now. I used to have that little trivia book. I knew all the questions that a kid my age wrote. The trivia book. I wish I could find that. I'm sure it's somewhere around here, unless I got rid of it. But honestly, to me, this is fascinating. To me, I love. It gets a little deep in the woods when it comes to the technology and talking about, well, we did this and this is how we did that. And yeah, if you're just going, oh, I want to see shots of Carrie and Harrison and Mark when they were kids, no, you're not going to get a whole lot of that. You're going to get, yes, there are some kind of reverent moments looking at the scripts a little bit and seeing familiar lines and hearing voiceovers of our characters in situations that show what it looks like without the visual effects, without the special effects surrounding them or behind them or in front of them or however it is. It's the real magic makers in this. This is a true tribute to the magic makers that make Star Wars what it was. And I tell this to people all the time. I have a shirt that says 5/25/77. It's from a movie called 5/25/77. Just came out on Blu-ray like a year ago, not even a year ago. It's worthwhile checking out if you're a big Star Wars nerd like me. And I use the term nerd as a term of affection. Understand this. This is never a means of saying horrible things to somebody. No, that's not. I'm not calling anybody names. It's a word of praise in my mind. But if you're a Star Wars nerd like me, you probably have already seen it. It was finally finished after I saw it back in 2007 at Star Wars Celebration, and it was incomplete, but to say the least. But I have it now, and I haven't watched that yet either. I held off, but I know the story of it, and it's the story of a guy who wanted to see these people, see this movie being made, the special effects, and it's the story of the guy who kind of did that. But just a lot of the fun behind the scenes footage, of the crew just killing time up in, I'm going to say Chatsworth again, in the hot area above LA, creating their own slip and slide from an airplane ramp, inflatable cushion ramp thing. Yeah, it's them just being weird wizards of technology, and that's, to me, that's entertainment. So I realize I already have rambled on way too long about this, and I could probably ramble on for another million years. But I love the fact that I love Star Wars. I know Star Wars. I love ILM and the people who made Star Wars, and I still am learning new things. And that's what this documentary does for me. I love that I don't know everything. I want to keep learning more about Star Wars and how it was created. And getting back to my point before, I have a shirt that says 5/25/77, and when people ask me, "Oh, is they see the shirt and they're like, oh, is that your birthday?" I'm like, no, it's not my birthday. I'm like, who wears a T-shirt with their birthday on it? Just their birthday on it just, who does that? I usually give them a hint. The clue is, this is the date that the world changed. This is literally a date. 5/25/77 is a date that everything changed, specifically in film, but also how we were entertained by film. And it's wholly in the hands of George Lucas and the people at ILM. Yeah. Because going on beyond this, when the profits and the success of Star Wars came to fruition, even though 20th Century Fox made a good bank on it, George made the money off the merchandising rights and everything else of the recreations of little toys based on, hold on, little toys. I didn't plan this. The little toys that George ended up having Kenner make in order to make some profit. That money went on to officially build ILM and so many other Skywalker Sound and so many other things that would go on to make the movies that we know and love even today possible. The ones that need special effects and stuff that just needs Forrest Gump just sitting on a bench. Stuff that needs Marty to go into the future and the past. To make dinosaurs come to life in a way that even George almost didn't believe could ever happen. And in turn inspired him to start making more Star Wars films. So I implore you, if you're a Star Wars fan, do not wait on this any longer. I can't believe I waited this long. I enjoyed just the first episode, and I'm pretty much going to probably sit down and watch the next few episodes right in a row all this weekend. But, yeah. It's to me, I mean, honestly, if you're not into the technical stuff and you're not like really in the behind the scenes stuff, you're probably not going to get anything out of this. Unless, even if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're not really into the technical stuff, you're just be like, oh, I'm more into the gossip that goes on. Ooh, did Carrie and Harrison hook up? Like, if you're into that, you're not going to find that stuff. This is about the technology and the people who made Star Wars what it is. I mean, honestly, the story of Star Wars, I enjoy the characters and everything else, but what really drove it home for a majority of the world is the effects, is the spaceships, the meaning, the way it lets us believe that this world exists, is real. So it's fully in the hands, beyond, of course, George's story and the characters, but ILM brought it home. What would become ILM brought it home. So yeah, this is the way it works. Hup. It's number 186. But I forgot that tomorrow by the way, I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. Tomorrow, Doctor Who premieres. The new, not rebooted series necessarily. It's the 14th Doctor still, but they're starting it with Series 1 on Disney+. BBC's own Doctor Who is premiering on Disney Plus tomorrow or in a few hours. And I'm going to be watching that. So that's what I'm going to watch next. I'm going to watch that first episode, however long it is. If it's a special or if it's an episode, I don't know. But whatever, I'm watching that and I'm going to talk to you about it tomorrow. Doctor Who. And whatever number I just picked there, assuming that it's, I'm going to check to make sure it's a valid number, that it's not a number that was already pre-picked before. Okay, yeah. It's not something we picked before. So, but I know what it is now. All right, so Doctor Who tomorrow on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. May the Force be with you.